Hey everyone, this is Thyworm with a new build for Last Epoch, the Death Seal Lich. If you're enjoying Last Epoch content, consider subscribing. Let's start with the build philosophy. I will be explaining the skill Death Seal extensively, so you fully understand this skill. This is a build with a lot of variations, and I tried most of them by now, so I will give you my thoughts on that too. Death Seal is one of the new skills in patch 0.7.8, and it's probably the most complex skill in the game. It requires quite some testing to figure out how this should be used in an optimal way without killing yourself, and I must say I've created a very solid build. I ran over 30 timelines with it, reached wave 155 or something in the arena, so it's very viable for endgame. The whole idea of the build is simply to do massive damage with the Death Seal, which procs Hungering Souls, homing missiles basically. We get Transplant, Rib Blood as a support skill, and we also have plenty of crowd control. If you're looking for a good build to play Death Seal, then this guide is a great starting point. Some of the pros of the build: massive damage because Death Seal skills with health loss, giving you a certain amount of control over how much health you want to lose and thus how much damage you want to deal. It's a very fun playstyle because there are a lot of components involved. You can play this very straightforward, but mastering the playstyle takes hours and offers a lot of advantages. Easy leveling with skills like Spirit Plague and Death Seal because they do so much damage. I one-shot the entire campaign Act 8 with this build. Viable for pretty deep arena runs and Monolith because you can play this as a guiding build with the Hungering Souls killing everything around you. Some of the cons: your character can be squishy, especially in between Death Seals, and it requires some time to get the hang of it, because Death Seal is a tricky skill to learn. You need to time it correctly or you will die. If you want to discuss this build in more detail, you can find me on my Discord. Feel free to join, link in the description down below. I'm also streaming on twitch.tv/Thyworm every Monday, Thursday and Saturday, 8 PM Central European Time. We run a very beginner-friendly stream over there, and I'll answer all your questions about Last Epoch. Then, the wishlist. What do you want for this character in terms of stats? Health, intelligence, crit chance and necrotic damage are really the only things you need, just to keep it simple. And I'm going to keep it relatively simple in this guide. Let's dive into the passives. In the base tree, we take the 3 pretty standard damage nodes that you almost always take in a Lich. It is 8 out of 8 necrotic knowledge for the intelligence, then 7 out of 8 blood aura, just damage, and 5 out of 5 blood pact for another 60% increased damage. It's also very nice while leveling. If you haven't reached the end of time yet for your mastery, spend points in Eyes of Damnation. That is a good node. Then, the Lich tree. The tree definitely has options, and at the cost of health you can do a lot of extra damage. I would advise you, however, to not take those nodes for now. The main reason is you don't need to do more damage. I am critting for over 20k without these nodes, and while the nodes give you damage, they also make you lose control over your health total because they drain life. And not being able to control your health total makes this build suddenly very difficult to play. That is why I went another route. We'll get back to this topic though. For now, take 8 out of 8 Dance with Death for damage, which is tripled at low life. We're not a low life character, but we sometimes do get to low life, and then the 80% damage boost is nice, especially in the arena. 8 out of 8 crippling insight is amazing, 16 intelligence. We don't regenerate health anyway because of a unique, so there is no drawback. Grasp of Fate, 5 out of 5 is good too for necrotic damage. Take 8 out of 8 Apocrypha for more intelligence and spell damage. Deathbringer brings us joy with cast speed and crit chance. We utilize 5 out of 5 Clairvoyant Insight, multiplying the crit damage. Necrotic energy is insane, 20 spell necrotic added damage, to which all multipliers apply. This is huge damage. 8 out of 8 Ageless Ascetic is move, cast and health leech, very nice, and those are the points you want to invest in first. Then, later in endgame, around level 60-70, health leech becomes more and more important. That is why I took 8 out of 8 survival of the cruel, leeching, but also gives me flat health. Hollow Lich is then a no-brainer, multiplying all leech by 10 and turning that into spell damage. That's around 100% spell damage for 1 passive point, and Soul Maw is something you can look into. Very late, around level 70 as well, I took Elixir of Hunger for more flat health. It is in the Necromancer tree. You will soon find out why we need health so badly. Time for the fun part, the skills. So, ladies and gents, Death Seal. Here is a breakdown of what it does. 1. It removes all ward upon activation. So running ward is basically pointless, at least in this build. 2. It seals your health. that basically means that your health cannot go above the value that it has the moment you activate Death Seal. If you activate it at 800 health, it is sealing your health at 800. You cannot go above 800 health for the duration of the spell, even if you have a 1300 health pool. It is crucial, therefore, that you activate Death Seal at the right time. If you don't, you seal your health at 200, baby, and you will do a lot of damage, but also are likely to die. If you mess up, you can reactivate Death Seal, press the button once more, and the spell ends. 3. The more percentage health you're missing, the more damage the spell does. And 4. The more health you're missing, the more damage reduction you're getting. You get half the missing amount of health in damage reduction. So let's say you activated the Death Seal at 20% health. That means you have lost 80% health, right? Half of that, half of 80% is 40%. So during Death Seal, you now reduce 40% of incoming damage. Just rewind this a few times if you don't get it. It took me around 4 hours of testing and playing and reading before I finally figured out how to use this spell properly without killing myself. Okay, so now we know how it works, which is an achievement in itself. Now let's see what I did with it. I tried a lot of versions here, but what I would recommend is that you start this skill with 5 out of 5 Corrupted Consciousness, increasing the damage of Death Seal per missing health, and then you take Mortal Pulse, creating death waves every second. This is amazing for leveling and just running around. You're a walking death pulse and it is super fun. Tachycardia is yet another very smartly named skill node. I used to study medicine actually, and tachycardia is an increased pulse, so it's very fitting, because you pulse those death waves twice as fast. This is amazing, it looks amazing, but I didn't take it in the end because we're an endgame build. While leveling, this is recommended, I would say. Then I went to Death's Breath, increasing the wave size. That is just good for obvious reasons. The Quick and the Dead is a lifesaver really, providing haste for as long as Death Seal lasted. In my case that's 7 seconds, as the spell has a 5-second timer by default, and I'm adding 2 more seconds by taking Moratorium, 2 out of 3. Then for the synergy, I took Devouring Release, which cast a single Hungering Soul every second. Please note, a single Hungering Soul. It doesn't cast the skill, just the single one. However, that single one is taking all effects from the skill Hungering Souls. We soon get into that. Finally, take Insatiable Soul 5 out of 5, spawning 3 souls per second now when activating Death Seal. I'll tell you my reasoning here. The death waves are so strong in the endgame and during leveling as well that I felt I didn't need to cast 2 waves per second. One was one-shotting everything anyway on low life. So instead, I make the Death Seal more versatile by adding the Hungering Soul synergy and spawning more of those, as you can now run around and kite away while all these skulls are homing missiles and going for the targets chasing you. It's also great for single target DPS, as these skulls tend to do a lot of damage, also at high health. And I'm always activating Death Seal at high health, never at low health. So let's take a look at Hungering Souls. Because Death Seal only casts 1, the best route here is to make that 1 count. You do that in the bottom right corner, taking Necrotic Pact for base damage, then Isolation for a very large hard-hitting skull, and then you take everything over here to increase its damage. 5 out of 5 Piercing Gaze for a 15% base crit, which is insane by the way, and 2 out of 2 Hungering Eyes for the multiplier. Then 4 out of 4 Great Soul, even for more hit damage. Because Hungering Souls is cast by Death Seal, it doesn't cost mana. Top it off with 5 out of 5 Ravenous, more base necrotic damage, and then 2 out of 3 Reaper's Gaze, giving your souls a chance to finish off an enemy directly when they're at 10% health or lower. This works on bosses too, by the way. We have the classic Transplant Rib Blood synergy in here as well for a specific purpose, which I will get to in the playstyle section. With Transplant, go right to 1 out of 3 Acolyte's Fervor just to get the Dance of Blood, casting 3 Rib Bloods. After that, go left, taking defenses. 3 out of 3 Bone Armor for a 12% damage reduction, which is multiplicative with the damage reduction from Death Seal. Make it more effective by 2 out of 2 Plated Bone, and make it last longer with 3 out of 3 Apostasy. Reduce the health cost of Transplant a little by taking Anemia, another medical condition. Finally, turn the skill into necrotic damage, increasing the area by 60% with Scarlet Rain, 3 out of 4. Then convert the whole thing with Ethereal Body and take Squeamish plus Thanatophobia as well for a double fear. It is actually quite useful for crowd control, giving you a chance to escape. Once again, the naming of the passive nodes here is just genius. We cast 3 Rib Bloods and they work like this. Take 4 out of 4 Arcane Absorption for global increased spell damage, and then take Rib Spirit, converting the damage from physical to necrotic. Every skill we cast is now necrotic damage, which is just super useful and easy for gearing. Then make sure you get a lot of health from this because you'll need it. 1 out of 5 Hemomancer just to get to 6 out of 6 Quenching, granting flat health and orb traveling speed. You want those orbs to reach you ASAP. Hematology provides more healing, and Mana Feast grants a bit of mana. I took Splatter and a bit of AoE, but you can do whatever you want here really. Finally, we're running Marked for Death for the increased damage, but mostly for the crowd control. Take 5 out of 5 Wavering Resolve, destroying enemies necrotic protection, then 5 out of 5 Desecration, increasing their damage taken, 3 out of 5 Long Gaze gives some bigger AoE, and then take both Icy Manipulation, chilling enemies, and Terror, fearing enemies. Increase the duration of both by Imposing Will, 4 out of 4. My last point went into Lingering Curse. More on these spells in the playstyle section. Time to look at the gear. Let's talk defenses first. I'm only glancing below capped and that is it. You get so much damage reduction that I found protections simply unnecessary. This character made it to wave 150 plus with a new arena system, so I'm confident in telling you that it's not required unless you are a pro arena pusher, but then you have good gear anyway. Instead, focus on a few other things. Crit chance is just really nice. The crits get absolutely massive at low health and you'd love to see that, so I took crit chance. The Hungering Souls also benefit from it. I run a sorcery staff because I'm not spending much mana as Death Seal is practically free. So get as much adept spell damage as you can and get necrotic and spell damage if possible because it scales with everything. Mostly, however, you need health. Lots of it. The reason is the Death Seal deals more damage the percentage health you've lost. Percentages, not absolute numbers. So you want to stack health that you can lose 60% health, increasing damage output by many times that number while still having around 500 health left. The more health you have, the more you survive while dealing damage. Add to this the reduced incoming damage and health is extremely powerful. That is why I took Titan Heart, the unique I recently told you about that didn't provide all that much useful stuff, but here it totally shines with 39% increased HP and no health regen, and more damage reduction as well. Heirloom of the Last Nomad is a metric ton of health as well, and the hybrid health affix is amazing of course. With idols I went for healing effectiveness and crit chance. Crit chance is already explained. Healing effectiveness is nice for the Rib Blood healing. I will link my gear in a TunkLabs URL as well. Leveling. I leveled using Spirit Plague actually. Leveling as a Lich is easy though, you can do whatever you want. Transplant Rib Blood leveling is pretty solid as well, and as soon as you have access to Death Seal, immediately pick it and start specializing in it. It is game over as soon as you have the Mortal Pulse and Tachycardia. Finally, the playstyle during endgame. Here is the build in action, and it is rather complicated actually. I am always activating Death Seal at 100% health or close to it. Then at least my health isn't sealed at an annoying health percentage. After my health is sealed, I use Transplant to bring my HP down. Because of Titan Heart, I am not regenerating health, so Transplant allows me to control my health percentage. I can choose to run around at lower health percentages, which I will do in the Monolith, or maybe I want to heal back up. I can do that as well using potions or Rib Blood. Transplant costs a lot of health. If you cast it when not around enemies, the Rib Blood doesn't trigger, so you don't heal and you lose health. This way you can control your health. After Death Seal ends, you're usually at lower health and you do want to use Transplant around enemies to get the health back, and then once you're healed back to full, which only takes like 3 Rib Bloods, you can activate Death Seal again. The skulls just fly out and seek enemies and kill them, that's fun, and once you get surrounded, just cast Marked for Death to fear them. I don't use Marked for Death a lot. I do plenty of damage without it, and you can fear enemies only once, so I keep it ready when I need it. Bosses are an exception of course. And that is how everything works really well together, but it does take time to get proficient with the optimal timings and usage of Death Seal. It's a lot more difficult than it looks. However, once you mastered the rotation, and there's definitely a rotation in this build, it slowly becomes an automated loop and you walk through levels, managing health percentages and absolutely destroying everything. It takes investment, but it is definitely worth it. If you have any questions, guys, once more, the easiest way is to hop on the Discord or in the streams, twitch.tv/Thyworm every Monday, Thursday and Saturday, 8 PM Central European Time. I hope, ladies and gents, you have good fun with the build and that the guide was useful. Thanks so much for watching and making it to the end. See you all soon. Bye bye.